Google had what I've been calling Demo Day. I don't know what I/O is. I think that's what they call it, but I don't. But it's basically Demo Day. It's basically where they show off kind of what they've been working on and what's coming. And there were a number of. I mean, you 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 could definitely do a full podcast just on what Google demoed, and then the different reactions I've heard to it. But the integration that they're now offering is, I think, a big part of what we learned. So Gemini is now embedded within, and across the entire Google suite of services. And you know that you already know that probably if you're just even if you're not using any of these tools and you're Googling, you're seeing the AI summaries at the top of your Google searches. And if you do use Gemini, you can also go into Gemini and do a substitute for a search. But now they have a third option, which is basically an all AI search within your Google search. I think. I mean, I haven't actually tried that yet. But they're also enhancing all of their other products, like their mixed reality glasses, with Gemini. Basically, it's Gemini forward is how I sort of understood it. Which I think you and I may have even had this conversation, maybe not on this podcast, but certainly, to each other, like that they have such an advantage in that they have so much of our lives. I mean, even though I just had this long riff about how my a lot of my information is across Microsoft, I have a personal Gmail account and therefore a personal, Gmail calendar. So Google has an awful lot of relevant information about me. And I have Google Docs because you and I work in Google Docs and I work in Google Docs with other people. So they have such rich data on individuals that tying it all together and having Gemini be sort of on their that they're on their like front foot with Gemini is I think a really smart move, and they had to do it. I mean, I know search is like most of their business, but search is going to be different, right? So they may as well like lead with Gemini and search. They also launched this video model that I've seen. I have not played with it, but I've seen lots of demos across social media, LinkedIn. I think Ethan Malik posted that you can no longer tell if a video is AI generated. Like this product is so good. And it produces videos with audio, although that doesn't always work, I'm told. Sometimes
Oh,
it's a little bit gibberishy. That it really is, that's something that I do spend some time thinking about, like how can judges and arbitrators, think through whether evidence is, you know, deep faked. And I worry about documents even more than video because we don't have that much video evidence in that many cases, but you could imagine it being, pretty convincing. And then there were lots of other like new tools that they've or old tools that they have just boosted their productivity and creativity, like Notebook LM. Um, I think you listen to Demis Hassabis on Hard Work? Oh, you did last week, didn't you? Did you?
I
Yeah.
did, and, I listened to a whole bunch of podcasts this week, obviously, but, a couple things they were talking about was, I guess, Sergey Brin made a cameo at the announcements that was
Yeah.
unexpected and sort of on stage live in front of the world told Demis Hassabis that they expect to be the leaders in AGI, um, ahead of all the other labs, and I think Demis's timeline has been, like, 5 to 10 years, which is much longer than a lot of the other researchers. So I guess he's now in it's kind of a tough spot to deliver there. But
Yeah.
I heard him interviewed on the Hard Fork podcast on Friday, and it made me it's not a perfect analogy, and I'm still sort of turning it over in my mind, but it made me think of access to justice because he was talking about how did you hear the interview on Friday?
I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
When he talked about how early on, he was a firm believer in not releasing the models to the
Yeah.
general public and keeping them in academia and where they were safe, and
Yeah.
he's changed his mind having seen what happened because he said, like, millions of smart people using it creatively, identifying its flaws, accelerate progress so much,
Yeah.
and it just made me think of all the conversations we've had and others about like, as lawyers, we feel this need to control everything and deliberate around everything for so long until
Yeah.
it's finally safe to release to the public. And I continue to believe that this is just such a democratized technology that there will be no controlling it.
Yeah.
And there will certainly be predators who will try to take advantage of people, but, I mean, I keep thinking that teaching people how to use these tools well to serve their own needs is a better way to try to respond than to, like, apply this old framework of UPL or coming after the tech companies for people using ChatGPT. But I don't know. It just sparked that thought in my mind that if
Yeah.
Demis has changed his mind around it, like, maybe it's something for legal to think about.
I had the same thought. It's funny. I was thinking of it more in terms of, how unuser friendly I always found every avenue for legal research. And maybe it's because I'm not good at it. I don't know. But I had to do a lot of it for many years. Right, that was a like pretty important part of my job. And I just found it like the way information is organized in different legal formats didn't make sense to me, and I had the thought like, "Yeah, this is what we could" somebody starting from scratch could
Mhm.
really probably think about a better way to organize legal information that made it accessible and useful, to people who didn't go to law school, and I did
Yeah.
go to law school, but didn't help me a whole lot, so
Same.
yeah.
Same. I know. I had the same issue with legal research, and there's also sort of like a cultural thing. I remember as a litigator, like, if you were a Westlaw researcher, you were, like, a real lawyer because you could figure out all the head notes, and it had nothing to do with actually being able to master the law or figure out how it applied to your client, but it was sort of what you might expect culturally from lawyers to be
Yeah, yeah,
competitive even in that arena.
yeah.
So that was one thing that I thought of when I heard Demis talking about that. But I'm very excited as somebody who uses Google, and it's interesting to see. Like I've probably texted you about this observation. I don't know who had it, who was talking about how the great American tech companies of the last quarter century have gone from being innovators to really like trying to capture regulation to protect what they've had.
Yeah,
And I think it's fun to finally see some of these incumbent organizations figuring out their lane here and
yep.
being forced to innovate around it. So I thought that was cool.
Was there anything else about the, Google releases that I'm missing or that you're excited about as a
I mean, I think there were 100 different announcements. I think the thing that I liked about it, they're a big tech company, they're in it for profit, but that they're framing it as human first
they are.
technology.
Yeah.
And I like that framing because it's what we talk about all the time.
And it resonated actually with, like, with people who follow this even more than I do, and I feel like I follow it a lot, but everybody felt like, that theme felt genuine, like, they really do view it as kind of human enhancing, so yeah,
Mhm.
it was optimistic,
Yeah.
the Google Day.
Thank you for tuning in to 2030 Vision, AI and the Future of Law. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast and leave a review. Stay informed and inspired as we continue to explore the AI-driven future of the legal profession. We'll see you next time.